What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to talk about the Nikon D3000 and see if it's still good in 2021 and so on. And yeah, this 12-year-old Nikon DSLR is still a really great camera to work with, especially if you're just starting out in photography or if you find one that's a really good deal. Yes, the Nikon D3000 is a good buy. Quick specs on the Nikon D3000. It was released back in late 2009. This makes the Nikon D3000 a 12-year-old camera. The Nikon D3000 has a 10.75 megapixel DX format CMOS sensor. This is a crop sensor camera. It has 11 autofocus points, which I definitely like much more compared to my Nikon D60 or the older Nikon D40. One of the cool things I like about this camera too is that it does have the 3-inch LCD screen, and I feel like it's much better to look at compared to the Nikon D60s or the Nikon D40. Going to the good stuff about this Nikon D3000 is that the guide option is actually really nice. Especially if you're a beginner, the guide option is so nice because I wish I had this on my Nikon D40 when I started to do photography. So just a note though, while the guide does have different options of shooting styles, it's possible the camera will not give you the images you want. The camera is basically doing everything in auto mode and it's trying its best to adjust to that mode you're on. So don't rely on it too much. It's definitely just a guide to help you become a better photographer. I would highly suggest using that guide if you really want to learn more about how to use a camera. The 11 AF points is really nice to use. Like I said again, it's a lot better than the 3 autofocus points that was in the Nikon D40 and the Nikon D60. And then going back to the bad stuff about, it's not really bad, but I mean for cons for me, for this Nikon D3000 is there is no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth capabilities in this camera. So if you're wanting a camera that has Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, this camera does not have those two capabilities. Another bad thing about the Nikon D3000, it's not really a bad thing, but it's just nitpicky, is that you can only use Nikon G lenses on it. If you have like the older Nikon D lenses like this one right here or this one right here, it's not going to autofocus, so you do need to use G lenses. So overall, the Nikon D3000 is an excellent camera for beginners, especially if you're just starting out. The guide is great. The D3000 does take SD cards, but it only has one SD slot card. I'll have a link below on what card I'm using in my Nikon D3000 too. So if you're interested, click on the link below, and that's the card I'm using for the Nikon D3000. I also really like the LCD screen. The LCD screen is definitely a huge update from the Nikon D60 since this is a upgrade from the Nikon D60. But if you're thinking about switching from the Nikon D60 to a D3000, personally, I would jump up depending on what your budget is. If you found a deal for the D3100, you're just starting out and you want a camera that's better than the Nikon D60, get another camera like the D3500s or even the D5600s, the newer cameras, especially if you're already investing that much. And if that is your price range and if you already know what you're gonna shoot, definitely just look at the Nikon D7200s or the D7500s. I would highly suggest those, especially if you are invested in the Nikon DX lenses. Yeah, the Nikon D3000's image quality is actually really good, especially if you put a really good lens on it. And you don't even need to put a really good lens on it. A lens I would suggest to use on this is the Nikon 35mm 1.8 GDX. I have my review up here and you can check it out if you want. But here's just some samples with the 1.8 GDX. Overall, the Nikon D3000 is excellent for beginners, especially if you're still thinking about investing in one and this is going to be your first camera and you're not looking at the older Nikon D40s or the Nikon D60s. You want to make that jump to like the D3000 series and you can't find a D3100 in your area. The D3000, for the price you can get it for, is still really good. Also, the Nikon D3000 does not do video. The D3100 does video, not the Nikon D3000. So if the Nikon D3000 was your first camera, comment below. I started out with the Nikon D40 and I remember when the Nikon D3000s first came out, I really wanted it because back then it was all about the megapixel race. The Nikon D40 was only 4 megapixels, the Nikon D3000 was 10 megapixels. So if you have one, comment below and let me know what you think about it. Or if you're about to buy one, comment below some questions and I'll try my best to answer it. And I also have links below where you can buy a used Nikon D3000 and the SD cards and the lenses I highly recommend for this camera. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm definitely going to do more videos on this Nikon D3000 just to show you how good of a camera it is, especially if you put a lens on it. If you have any questions, comment below and I'll try my best to answer your D3000 questions. And again, I really appreciate everyone watching. See ya.